The old man Zhuangzi once dreamt he was a butterfly flitting among flowers, feeling the sun on his wings, utterly content. When he awoke, he was himself again, a man, solid and real. But then a question, like a tiny, persistent insect, began to buzz in his mind. Was he Zhuangzi, who had dreamt he was a butterfly? Or was he a butterfly, now dreaming he was Zhuangzi? It's this ancient riddle, so simple, yet so profound, often settled in Elias's thoughts as he watched the world unfold around him. But for Elias, the question had taken a darker, more unsettling turn. What if you weren't the dreamer, but the dream itself? What if everything you perceived, everything you felt, was merely a construct within a larger, unknown consciousness? Consider the story of Amelia, a young woman who, for years, believed herself to be perpetually unlucky. Every minor mishap, every missed opportunity, every slight inconvenience was, for her, undeniable proof of this cosmic disadvantage. If her bus was late, it wasn't traffic, it was her bad luck. If a job interview didn't pan out, it wasn't a mismatch of skills, it was her inherent misfortune. Others might see these events as random, or even as opportunities for growth, but Amelia's internal narrative was so strong, so pervasive, that it colored every interaction. She lived in a dream of ill fortune, a dream she herself was constantly creating and reinforcing. Her reality was not an objective truth, but a meticulously crafted illusion woven from her expectations and fears. She was the central character, the suffering protagonist. In a play where she had written both the script and the reviews, because she believed it so fiercely, the world, in turn, seemed to bend to her conviction. Reflecting back the very bad luck she projected, she wasn't just experiencing reality. She was dreaming it into existence, moment by moment, with every sigh and every muttered, "Just my luck." The external world provided the raw material, but her mind was the sculptor, shaping it into the familiar, self-fulfilling prophecy of her own making. The irony was, if someone else experienced the exact same set of events, they might simply shrug them off as a typical Tuesday, seeing no pattern, no grand design of misfortune. But for Amelia, every spilled coffee, every lost key, every unexpected bill was a thunderclap, a definitive statement from the universe confirming her deepest, most persistent dream. Then there's the vast, shimmering dream of society itself. Think of the American dream, a collective narrative so powerful it shapes millions of lives. For decades, it painted a picture: a house with a white picket fence, 2 cars, a stable job, 2.5 children, and a comfortable retirement. Generations of people have lived their entire lives striving for this ideal, making choices, sacrificing personal desires, and measuring their success against this predefined blueprint. They weren't just living, they were living within a dream, a shared hallucination of what a good life entailed. Elias recalled his grandfather, a man who worked tirelessly in a factory for 40 years, never questioning the path laid out for him. He bought the house, raised his family, and retired with a modest pension, believing he had achieved the pinnacle of existence. Yet, in his later years, a quiet melancholy settled in his eyes. He had fulfilled the dream, but was it his dream? Or was he merely a character, perfectly played in a dream designed by others? The societal dream, like a grand, intricate stage play, casts its actors, provides their lines, and dictates their movements. And most, like Elias's grandfather, perform their roles flawlessly, never quite realizing they are part of a larger, unwritten script. The dream is so pervasive, so deeply ingrained, that to question it feels like madness, like trying to wake up from reality itself. Yet the quiet unease, the fleeting sense of something missing, often hints at the dream's illusory nature. Our very past, Elias mused, is a dream we constantly re-edit. Memories are not perfect recordings, but fluid narratives shaped by our present emotions, our current understanding, and even our desires. Think of a bitter breakup. Immediately after, every shared moment might be recalled through a lens of pain and betrayal. Years later, perhaps after healing, those same memories might soften, even acquire a nostalgic glow, focusing on the good times, the lessons learned. The truth of the past shifts, not because the events themselves change, but because the dreamer you has changed. Elias remembered a heated argument he'd had with his sister years ago. For a long time, he recalled it as a clear instance of her being unreasonable. But as he matured and understood more about their family dynamics, his memory of the event subtly altered. He began to recall his own stubbornness, his own contributions to the conflict. The truth of that day, once a fixed, unpleasant memory, became a more nuanced, complex narrative. He wasn't just remembering, he was redreaming the past, constantly adjusting the details, the emotions, the motivations, to fit his evolving understanding of himself and his sister. Each time we revisit a memory, we are, in a sense, dreaming it anew, layering fresh interpretations onto old images, making the past less of a historical record and more of a living, breathing, ever-changing story within our minds. And what of the digital age? We now inhabit layers upon layers of dreams. Social media, for instance, is a vast, interconnected dreamscape where individuals curate idealized versions of themselves. People spend hours crafting perfect posts, selecting flattering filters, and presenting a life that often bears little resemblance to their lived reality. They are not just presenting a persona, they're actively dreaming themselves into existence for an audience, and in turn, consuming the dreams of others. Elias often scrolled through feeds, seeing friends on exotic vacations, enjoying lavish meals, or achieving impossible fitness goals. He knew, intellectually, that these were often carefully constructed facades. But the sheer volume of these perfect lives could still create a sense of inadequacy, feeling that his own, less glamorous, reality was somehow lacking. He was caught in a collective dream of curated perfection, a dream where everyone was both the dreamer and the dreamed. Or consider the immersive worlds of online gaming, where players spend countless hours living as avatars, achieving virtual victories, and forming digital communities. For many, these virtual realities become as compelling, as real as their physical lives. They are not just playing a game, they are living a dream, a meticulously designed alternate existence, where the rules are clear, the goals are defined, and success is often more attainable than in the messy, unpredictable real world. The lines blur, and the question of which reality is more real becomes less about objective truth, and more about where one chooses to invest their consciousness, their time, their emotional energy. Yet there are moments of awakening, sharp, sudden jolts that pierce the fabric of the dream. These are the moments when the illusion falters, when the carefully constructed narrative breaks, and a glimpse of something raw and unfiltered shines. Through it could be a sudden, unexpected loss that shatters a person's sense of security and control, forcing them to confront the fragility of life. Elias knew a successful businessman, a man who had meticulously built an empire, believing that wealth and power were the ultimate measures of worth. Then, a health crisis struck, bringing him to the brink of death. In the sterile quiet of his hospital room, stripped of his titles and possessions, he experienced a profound shift. The dream of endless acquisition dissolved, replaced by a stark realization of what truly mattered: connection, presence, the simple act of breathing. He woke up from the dream he had been living, and his life, upon recovery, took a dramatically different course. He sold his company, dedicated his time to philanthropy, and prioritized relationships over profit. This wasn't a choice to end his life, but a choice to end the dream of his life, to step out of a narrative that no longer served him. These awakenings can also be subtle, a quiet whisper rather than a shout. A person might spend years chasing a career path, convinced it's what they should do, only to find themselves deeply unfulfilled. One day, a chance encounter, a book, a simple moment of introspection might trigger a realization: this isn't me. This isn't my life. I'm living someone else's dream. This internal shift, this questioning of the fundamental narrative, is the essence of Zhuangzi's challenge. It's the moment the butterfly wonders if it's truly a butterfly or if it's a man dreaming. The profound implication of Zhuangzi's butterfly nightmare, when viewed through the lens of You're the Dream, is that our reality is not a fixed, external entity waiting to be discovered, but a dynamic, ever-evolving construct of our perception and consciousness. We are not merely observers of reality. We are active participants in its creation. Every belief we hold, every expectation, we harbor every story we tell ourselves about who we are and how the world works, contributes to the intricate tapestry of our lived experience. The dream is not something external that happens to us. It is something we are constantly weaving, thread by thread, with every thought, every feeling, every choice. So, as Elias finished his tea and stepped back into the bustling city, the rain now a distant memory, the question lingered, not as a source of anxiety, but as a profound invitation. If you are the dream, then what kind of dream are you creating? Is it a dream of limitation, of fear, of endless striving for external validation? Or is it a dream of boundless possibility, of authentic expression, of deep connection, of quiet contentment? The power, Elias realized, lay not in finding the real reality but in consciously shaping the dream we inhabit, knowing that its boundaries are only as real as we believe them to be. And in that realization, there was a strange, liberating freedom. The world, with all its complexities and contradictions, was not just something to be endured, but a canvas upon which to paint the most extraordinary dream of all, the dream of being truly, consciously, and defiantly alive. The echoes of Zhuangzi's question resonated in the most unexpected places. Elias found himself observing the mundane with new eyes. The construction workers meticulously laying bricks, building structures that would stand for decades, perhaps centuries. Were they merely fulfilling a function, or were they too dreaming into existence a tangible piece of their future, a legacy in stone and mortar? The street musician, playing a soulful melody on a worn guitar, drawing a small crowd? Was he simply performing, or was he weaving a temporary dream of beauty and connection, inviting strangers to share a moment of shared emotion? He thought of the collective dreams that have shaped humanity, the dream of flight, leading to airplanes, the dream of instant communication, leading to the internet, the dream of healing, leading to medical breakthroughs. Each of these began as an idea, a vision, a powerful shared dream that, through collective effort and belief, manifested into physical reality. We are, Elias realized, constantly dreaming the world into being, not just individually, but collectively. The very fabric of our civilization is woven from these shared narratives, these agreed-upon realities. But this understanding also carried a subtle warning. If we are the dream, then we are also responsible for its content. A dream filled with fear, division, and destruction can become as real as one filled with hope and unity. The power to shape the dream implies the responsibility to dream consciously, to choose the narratives that uplift and connect, rather than those that diminish and separate. Elias walked on. The city sounds a symphony of human endeavor. He saw a child chasing pigeons in a park, utterly absorbed in the moment, living a pure, unburdened dream of play. He saw an elderly woman carefully tending a small patch of flowers outside her apartment, nurturing a small, vibrant dream of beauty amidst the concrete. These were not grand philosophical statements, but they were profound affirmations of life, of engagement, conscious creation, the true challenge of Zhuangzi's butterfly nightmare. For Elias was not to escape the dream, but to become a more aware and intentional dreamer. To recognize the fluidity of reality, the power of perception, and the profound agency we possess in shaping our own experience, and by extension, the collective human experience. It was a call to wake up within the dream, to become lucid too. Choose the colors, the characters, and the plot of our own unfolding story. And in that conscious choice, Elias found a deeper, more resonant peace than any fixed answer could provide. The dream, he concluded, was not a prison, but an infinite canvas, waiting for us to paint our most authentic selves upon it. He thought of the moments when individual dreams converged, creating a ripple effect that transformed the larger collective dream. A single act of courage, a solitary voice speaking truth to power, a small group dedicated to a shared vision, these could ignite a chain reaction, shifting the narrative for thousands, even millions. The civil rights movement, for example, began with individuals dreaming of equality and justice, a dream that, through persistent effort and shared belief, gradually reshaped the dream of an entire nation. Rosa Parks' simple refusal to give up her seat was a lucid moment, a conscious choice to break free from a limiting narrative, and it sparked a wider awakening. Conversely, Elias recognized the insidious nature of nightmares that could take hold of the collective. Propaganda, fear-mongering, the spread of misinformation, these were attempts to hijack the collective dream, to inject narratives that served narrow interests, often at the expense of truth and human connection. To combat this, he realized, required a conscious effort to discern, to question, to cultivate critical awareness, and to actively contribute to a dream rooted in compassion and reason. The very act of storytelling, Elias mused, was a form of lucid dreaming. As a writer, he didn't just record reality. He interpreted it, shaped it, imbued it with meaning. He invited readers to step into a shared dream, to experience emotions and ideas that might otherwise remain unexamined. And in that shared experience, there was a potential for both individual and collective awakening as he finally rose from his chair. The coffee shop now quiet, the last rays of sun painting the street in hues of orange and purple, Elias felt a profound sense of agency. The world wasn't just happening to him. He was happening to the world through his perceptions, his choices, his conscious engagement with the unfolding dream. The question of the butterfly and the man was no longer a philosophical puzzle to be solved, but a living invitation to participate fully in the magnificent, mysterious, and endlessly unfolding dream of existence. And in that participation, he found not just meaning, but a sense of profound belonging.